Are live. This is Jackie Luqman again, back still at the still at DuPont Circle for the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign. And I'm so glad I came out here today because I am able to talk to Tara Colon. And Tara, tell us about yourself, tell us what you do, tell us why you're here.
I'm a formerly homeless youth, formerly homeless mother. I currently live in Florida.
Florida?
Florida. Moved there about 3.5 years ago. Got into some public housing.
Okay.
Thank God. But that doesn't take the ability to pay your bills away.
Right.
The ability to have food on the table away.
Right.
Or to have furniture, decorations, to a birthday party for your kid.
Right.
School uniforms, school supplies. I live on a budget. I have 5 children, 3 of whom are young adults. As you know, young adults don't.
Just because they're young adults
doesn't mean
they don't need help.
That's right. So not that I can provide much, but at least a stable house for them to be in. And life is hard, regardless. Whether it's Philadelphia, Florida. Don't get me wrong. I hate the cold. I love that I live in Florida. But poverty is just as intense, just in different ways. The poverty that I lived in Philadelphia, I come from one of the most devastated communities when you're talking about drugs. Heroin.
Where is this in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, right next to the ports.
Wow. What neighborhood was this?
Kensington.
My husband is from Camden, and he knows all about that area, the Badlands, and Kensington.
And don't get me wrong, we have survivors in Kensington.
No.
We have great people.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've been devastated by the drugs. Okay. Some of the purest drugs are in our neighborhood, in all of the country.
Yeah.
You have to remember we have the ports on one side,
right.
95 on the other.
So you've got the trafficking from both.
The international airports.
Well, three ports of entry.
Yes.
When we think of commerce, y'all, when we think of trade and commerce, we always think of like goods and services for stores. We don't think of drugs.
When we think about the military and the war, we don't think about drugs. But heroin came through us through Vietnam. Our grandparents, our middle-aged folks don't fall into those tragedies.
Right.
Not that it's not that I have the secret. Maybe I do. I'm part of a movement since I was 18 years old to end poverty. I'm committed every day to figure out how do we break a system that human beings created. It is not divine from God. It isn't a punishment from God. That's something you did to offend God. That is why you live in poverty. That is why you're imprisoned. That is why you got taken in foster care. No. It is man-made. It is a system to oppress us on purpose so we don't get together to dismantle it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I was just talking to Jamal Johnson, right? And we were just talking about how that's how oppression works, right? Oppression makes it so difficult for poor people to have the energy to fight back. Oppression works in a real simple way. It makes it so impossible for regular people to just make a living every day, that you're struggling so much that by the end of the day, you are too tired to fight back.
How about they want to raise the rent on Section 8 so that people pay more and can work more.
Now, how does that explain why that doesn't make sense?
Because we're already working 3 jobs.
Thank you.
Or if you're working 1 job, you're working triple shift. If you're lucky to have a job.
So it's not like raising
How many more shifts do you want me to do in 24 hours?
So it's not like raising your rent is actually going to make you go out and make more money.
You're going to make less in the rent because you're going to owe more, which is already too much. $7.50 an hour is minimum wage. Can you pay rent on $7.50 an hour? And you mean to tell me that cashier that's putting up with your crap all day, every day? I don't care whether you're rich, middle class, or poor. You're looking down on that poor cashier. All your frustrations of the day, your kids, your wife, your whatever. You take it out on that public servant. Who's in the public service? She didn't get tax dollars. Okay? She qualifies for food stamps, and you are downing her instead of downing Walmart. You are judging her, who's working hard every day for every dollar and working 3 shifts at Walmart, still qualifies for food stamps. Doesn't that say something? And we turn around and we're judging her, but we won't judge the people who run Walmart, the people who have stocks and bonds and are making money off of enslaving a whole group of people.
Now, you brought up Walmart. Earlier today, you guys...
and don't get me wrong, I shop at Walmart, but I can't afford not to.
Listen, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you so much for saying that, because progressives, we got a real bad habit of shaming people for where they shop, what they eat. Oh, you're propping up the corporate hegemony.
What do you want me to do?
At Walmart.
What do you want me to do?
You don't make enough money to shop anywhere else. If the dollar store and Walmart is all you can afford, how you gonna blame people for buying food and goods where they can afford?
Target is bougie. Because only bougie people can afford Target.
Poor people can't even afford Target.
Okay. Look, I love all these. Doesn't mean I can shop there. I gotta go Save a Lot.
And you know the Luqman's talk about Aldi all the time. Here we are. We understand that we have it better than a whole lot of people.
We do and we don't. Because
but
the thing
in some ways,
this is the problem in this country, is people don't understand where extreme wealth exists, so does extreme poverty.
And it has to be that way.
Just because it's not your backyard.
That's
just because it's not your relative that you see in the extremity. Look, I live in public housing now, so I can't count myself. Digo, I can't afford food, utilities, but extreme poverty I used to be in Kensington because my pipes froze every winter.
Wow.
One, the fact that I paid my water, but I still didn't have water.
Right.
That's extreme poverty when you live in a place where your pipes freeze every winter and you have to figure out how the hell am I going to warm up the water for my kid to take a bath. When your stove isn't working, the landlord is no longer required by law to have it fixed. That's your problem. You should have rented from me if you didn't want to live in those conditions.
Right.
But, hey, I just jacked up the price of rent to $900 in the ghetto because I'm allowed to get away with it. Nobody's regulating what I charge. You don't live in my house? Go live in the street. You have an option. But if you go live out on the street, I'm going to call the cops. Same person. Same person who charged me $900 will also call the police on me. She's in my pretty park. She's laying down in front of Walmart. Oh my God. I just see a homeless person when I go get gas? No. Arrest them too.
Wow.
Same people who will jack up the rent to $1,200 are the same people who don't want to see the homeless people on the street. So where's the give and take? And where's the privilege? Now, I do understand that maybe we're better at hiding it because we arrest people.
We put people in jail. We put people in
if
jail
you're homeless,
because they're poor.
If you're homeless, or I'll take your kids from you.
Right.
Yes, you do see in India the shacks above shacks above shacks. Okay, and here too, you know where to look.
Oh yeah.
To be quite honest.
That's
okay.
Right.
Go up the mountains, people.
That's right.
You will see those same shacks. Go up all the mountains in the United States. I don't care which one.
Go up to the Blue Ridge.
Or go down into the swamp areas.
That's right.
Go to areas where nobody else wants to live. Then you will find that extreme poverty that I'm talking about.
Go to Atlantic.
Okay.
Past the casino.
Now, if you don't want to see that, but then open your eyes and really see what's going on in this country. Behind Walmart, you're more than welcome to live in a tent, in the ground, with no blanket. Just don't do it in front. Because if you dare come in front of that Walmart, where the public has to see you, 911, that's vagrancy, arrest them. Okay? And the thing is that we're taught to hate ourselves because, oh no, but you know what? I'm not living behind that Walmart. I'm working 3 shifts every day at my restaurant. Not my restaurant, but the restaurant I work for. Even though they're not paying me a living wage, I'm still on food stamps. I ain't got no medical for me, but my kids got it. So I'm privileged poor.
Right.
There is no privileged poor.
There is no privileged poor.
The reality is none of us are having a quality of life. And that's sad.
Right.
It's sad. We're human beings.
In the so-called richest country in the world, none of us, unless we are the uber rich, have the quality of life we are due.
And then we're fighting with each other. And then we're put to fight with each other. Look, my grandma's side, I'm Mexican from San Luis Potosí. My great-grandma is 100% Azteca. Okay? There was nothing but native in that woman. Okay? Very proud Azteca warrior. Okay? My father's side is Puerto Rican. Okay? Proud Tainos, proud African. And, hey, you know, I happen to be obviously the granddaughter or great-granddaughter of the conquerors on both sides. I wouldn't look the way I look. But the problem is that, you know, no one's the immigrant.
Wow.
Who's the immigrant? Europeans aren't the immigrant because they conquered. Africans, descents, aren't immigrants because they were forced here. And the natives that we've always been here, we're the immigrants now? No, they went to the wall to keep native people from crossing it. Those dirty Mexicans are natives. They're the ones crossing the border for jobs because you displaced them. Because you displaced them. Because you displaced their families and broke down the social and economic structures that were in place on this continent. So then how dare you, after you've done this, say you want to put up a wall? They're not immigrants. Where are they immigrant from? What? They say the narrow strait? Please, we've been here for thousands of years. When Pangea broke, there were human beings on this continent. We've been here since Pangea. So then, where did we immigrate from? Space? I had my daughter one time, we were at Laheep. I really needed my gas on, okay? So I'm going to do the paperwork. They notice on a computer. Oh, you have an undocumented, no, you have an illegal alien living in your home. Because I'm Mexican, so I got undocumented relatives. So do my kids. And it was my son's aunt that was living with us. And I looked at my door like, please be quiet. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Because I need my gas on. It's freezing in Philadelphia in the winter. And my daughter, thank God, didn't say a word yet. So the woman, African American, you know, raised in public schools here in the United States, leaves the room to get some paperwork. And my daughter realized, you know, these cubicles are like this. Everybody can hear you. Illegal alien. What are we, from space, Mom? What do you mean? And she's like 11, 12 years old. How are we the illegal aliens? I said, Mama, lower your voice. But unfortunately in the United States, people who are born and raised here think that if you're not from the country, you're not from the planet. So what can I tell you? What she meant to say was undocumented. But even then, we're native to this land, so we're not undocumented either.
Nobody should need documentation.
Okay? You're a human being working, living wherever you live, period. And I'm not saying we don't need to filter out the, you know, people who are really committing crimes. I'm not saying don't lock up people who are raping. I'm not saying we don't lock up the child molesters. Let's lock them all up. Don't just say because they're poor, they're going to lock them up. If they got money, they can keep doing what they're doing. That's not the way it should go. And that's the way it goes in this country. If you're poor, you're guilty. If you're rich, we'll see. That isn't justice. That isn't blind justice. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Latino, Native, Asian, Polynesian, because it ain't just a black and white issue in this country. And that's a problem too. Poverty ain't black and white, but human beings in this country aren't black and white. It's broader than that. Desegregation in schools aren't just black and white. It's about every child having the quality education from the time that they are able to learn their colors and letters until the time they feel deemed that they're done studying. And that's a different path for different people. But none of us have that choice. Very few have that choice. And that's what we're talking about, is ending a system of oppression. And there's many levels of it. Just because your level of oppression is not the same as somebody else's, it's like saying, well, you know, I'm not bad off because I only cut, you know, they only had to cut my finger. But you know what? You're a little worse off because they had to cut off your hand. Okay? Your hand.
I think that's Felicia Teeter. Hello.
I feel like this maybe is the first time we've ever actually met in person.
Yes, it is. You have to come around
We're live.
the camera.
Oh, we live.
Yes,
oh, my
we
bad.
are.
Hey, I'm really excited.
But you know what? That's Felicia Teeter. Hi. Who just walked up on us, and I'm so glad. Listen, I've been having this great conversation. We were having this great conversation with Tara Kalorn. Had a great conversation with Jamal Johnson. And now that Felicia Teeter is here, Felicia.
My turn to have a great conversation?
Yes.
Ooh, the level of your mic.
Before I get off, would love for you guys to tune in to, obviously, our live feeds.
Yes.
Sarah Cologne on Facebook.
We are on the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign on Facebook.
Sherry Hankala on Facebook.
Yep.
We are also on YouTube. You can find us through People Education. You can find us on one of our songs. When you have a list of songs.
Yeah,
Playlist.
playlist.
I'm sorry. My brain's not working. It's smush.
all the time.
So you can find us on our YouTube playlist by going to People Presents, at least for now, Sandra Rivera Colon and Luciano Flores. Also, if you put in Sandra Rivera Colon or Tara Colon, sometimes you get some of my daughter's other songs. This is a young person who's literally, I gave birth to her from Tent City.
Wow.
And she's 22 now, singing our songs that have been written throughout the years. And we welcome others to use it. Other movements are using Rich Man's House, and shout out to them. Great. But if you really want to hear the original song, the original writers, sorry, the original March of Our Lives, our young people have been marching their entire lives. The difference between them and Florida is that they're not middle class. These are poor kids who have been literally marching for their lives on that banner their entire life. I was marching for my life as a youth at 18. 1997 was the first March of Our Lives. And we've had about 15 of them.
That's right.
Okay, throughout the years. On gun violence, school violence, hunger, the violence of hunger, homelessness, health, the lack of health care. It hasn't just been me as a youth that I turned into a single mom, marching with a baby, marching with a toddler, marching with a toddler and a baby, marching with a toddler going to school age now, a baby and a toddler in a stroller, okay? Because I have my older 3 kids, 22, 20, and 19, okay? And now I have my 11 and 6-year-old and my grandbaby that's 3. Because it doesn't end until we demolish the system that's oppressing all of us.
Tara, thank you. Thank you so much.
And watch out, we're going to be doing a cooking channel on YouTube pretty soon. If you know folks that are talking about revolution and love to cook, please stand by. I don't know when we're going to be able to make that happen. People have been asking me for years to get a cookbook together. I'll be honest, most of us don't measure. We don't measure. It's cooking out of love. And especially when you're cooking out of love for your community. And I've been meeting people along the road for the last 24 years that have been cooking not only for their families, but for every young person that walks in their door. For the homeless person that knocks, or the addict knocks on your door to have an extra plate of food. In my house and many households. Because poor people, we know how to share. We ain't got much, but when we do got, we share. So I would love people to contact me on my Facebook, on Messenger, and let me know that they're interested in showing how you cook. Okay? I'll show you how I cook for people, for 100 people sometimes. Okay? But I need you folks, and let's get together, let's talk about revolution.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Tara, thank you so much. Let me slide this off you. This is just like
it was all fire.
coolest. This is just like the best thing. Come here, Felicia. Come here.
Been following you on social media long enough. Been commenting on all your things long enough.
This is one of the reasons I would love to say, just like, okay, this is just what I do, protest and connecting with people and supporting, policies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I really just like being able to meet the people that I connect with online. Because sometimes we put people up on pedestals, right? And then other times we like idealize people and we think we can't like meet them and put our hands on them and we're all in this struggle together. And to be able to be in the same physical space with people who have the same passion and heart, it just makes me really just say, you know what? This is worth all the shit.
We also need to put your link
Yes.
on our page
Yes, we're gonna.
for folks to be able to tune in.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely gonna. So you can get us right now on YouTube under Luqman Nation, because Facebook is annoying right now. It's just killing us. So Felicia, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you got involved in the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign.
Who? Big old question. Who am I? I'm a lot of things. I'm a lot of people. But at my base, I am a Black Indigenous person who just wants Black Indigenous people to be free. It doesn't seem that outlandish, but for some reason my politics are always called radical. When I'm like, what if everyone start housing? And they're like, that's radical. I'm like, what if everyone start food? That's radical. I'm like, no. You won because you got to this world. That's enough. Like, you get to be taken care of. You get to be loved when you get here. You get to be cared for when you get here. And those shouldn't be radical ideas. If those are radical ideas in our society, if loving other people is a radical idea in our society, then something's fucked up with our society.
Imagine that might be.
And it didn't just start with Trump. Because people all out here like, oh, but that orange Cheeto man. And I'm like, oh, but you know that he just doing everything because the groundwork was already laid. Much as I love Obama, I'm still like, those deportations though.
Those 7,000 drone bombs a day.
I'm like, we know. We know. You can't trick us just because you put a nice color on him.
On how to oppress.
Which people don't always agree on how to oppress, but they know the oppression is there.
And I think that people also need to understand. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, come. People
they need to understand that, rich folks do not agree on how to oppress us, how to control us. And yes, of course, look, I am the great-granddaughter of a indigenous Mexican woman who crossed the border, who had to work in Alabama and raise her kids in Alabama when it was an all, had to send her kids to the all-Mexican school, and I'm sure my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my relatives at that time had to put their head down, yes sir, no sir, and be called, yo boy when you're a grown man. Don't think that the Mexican-American community didn't go through that. They did. I've heard stories about it in my family. And of course, we have come a certain amount of way because these set of rich folks decided it was easier to control us by giving us some crumbs. Some crumbs. We ain't opening the door.
Right.
Okay? We'll crack it open for one or two, maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Maybe. So at least they're striving for something they're never going to reach.
Right.
And they'll be too busy to look behind the screen at all the things we're doing to oppress them. But then you have the other set of rich folks who go, no, I enjoy being that good old boy. I enjoy putting them in their place. And I really miss that. I miss being out of the closet bigot.
And I want to make America great again.
And the thing is that helps distract the poor white folks who don't realize they're being just as oppressed. Because if I at least give them emotional crumbs, then I gotta give them the physical crumbs. Okay? Well, the other rich folks are taking a slight bit of my resources that I don't want them to take to give the crumbs to a sprinkle of in everybody, to control everyone, not to really get the resources that I'm hoarding. And the other set, going back to the other set of rich folks, saying, no. I enjoy hoarding. I enjoy being out of the closet. I don't need the screen. They need to be put in their place, all of them. And for the poor white folks that kind of look like me, well, I can give them emotional power. I don't really have to give them anything else. And that's the sad thing is the lack of education that we have is why it's so easy to manipulate us.
So
Facts.
Let me ask you, Felicia, how do we... I'm so glad you brought up poor white people who are not in tune to how oppressed they are because they have the emotional crumbs of whiteness. So Felicia, how do we connect with those white people? Now I'm not talking about the alt-right blatant racist.
No, we're talking about the people who I grew up with.
We're not talking about working with the alt-right, ladies and gentlemen. Please put that bullshit out of your head. We're talking about the people, those poor white people who don't realize, no, you're poor too. You're being oppressed too. How do we connect with them, Felicia?
Talk to them. One, there's a large issue because like our own connecting with them takes just a lot. Takes a lot of emotional labor that we ain't never gonna get paid for. Takes a lot of physical labor we ain't never gonna get paid for. Cause like, you know that you're sitting there swallowing that feeling of like, this is really uncomfortable. You know,
but if you were religious, right? You would do all that to be a missionary.
So we're
It depends. It depends.
Missionaries came to my res and they didn't do none of that. Let me tell you.
What I mean by that is
Christians will do it in Africa, but they won't do it in Southeast DC.
But wait a minute, no. But let's take a step back. How many Mormons have knocked on your door? They knock on my door all the time.
Well, there are two that keep showing up, but they know to pass by our house.
No, but the thing is that it is a lot sexier for those poor white folks through church to go into the sexy black neighborhoods, the sexy Latino neighborhoods.
Right.
And not because you don't see the reflection of themselves in those neighborhoods. We have to challenge, Caucasian folks who are better off to come into the poor white neighborhood and talk and see the effects of poverty on their own people. The majority of poor people in this country are white still.
Yeah, that's true.
That's because the majority of people who live here are still white. Not that we're not coming up to talking about that later. We'll talk about that later.
That's why they're so afraid.
That's true.
That's why they're so afraid.
But that's why
Does he mean
that's why they can eliminate the services.
Treat people of color that bad? Are you afraid?
But that's why they're losing their services because they're going, oh, wait a minute, we really set that up for poor white folks. We didn't really set it up for black or brown or anyone else.
Right.
So they're voting against themselves. Also, it's not even like they're losing. It's like they are choosing to no longer have it because they feel as though their status as people is being changed. Right. Now that more people how do you deal with that? That's another question I'm gonna turn around to you. How do you deal with people who feel as though equality must be taking something from them? Because no. I was just talking to my friend, and we're both huge advocates for free food and free housing. And we were talking about how the first reaction to free food and free housing is saying nah, but those lazy people don't deserve it. And it's just but if everyone had free food and free housing, you would not be at a loss. You would just have however much you're spending in at rent to you. To you. You would just have however much you're spending in food to you. If you have an extra $3,000 to spend on rent and food because you have that, because you earned that, because that's fake ass shit earned in a capitalist society. We can get into that later. But
the problem is we also need to throw down that curtain of what's the 1% that really has benefited from this system. It hasn't been the poor whites. Right. It hasn't even been the middle class whites.
Exactly.
Not the blue collar middle class.
They all still think that they're gonna work their way up. But that's also a problem within
how do you work your
black
way up?
indigenous communities and all communities, because I was told on my reservation, I grew up on a reservation, and I was told okay, you got to go to school. You got to get this good degree, and also part of it was always you got to come back. Which was a big part for me. It's okay, I got to now go back and use those tools for my people. But also even the idea that I had to go and get this fancy degree from this white-ass school to go and work with Native people, as if anyone in this white-ass school knew a damn thing about us. It's they are not going to give me tools to liberate my people, so why do I got to go to some Ivy League college?
But they will filter to get the best of the best and include those somewhat in their, people laugh about movies like Hunger Games or books like 1984 or,
it's just dude, y'all here, don't laugh about it no more.
But that's what I'm saying is that honestly,
451?
I know that they exaggerated about, the big hair and the big clothes, in Hunger Games. But the reality is we do have Hunger Games all the time around the sports arenas. And what's going on in sports today. You can't get an education if you're not a jock. Right. You graduate.
That's how everyone got out of school.
Valedictorian of your class. And, you still don't really get a full scholarship because you don't get your living expenses paid for.
Right.
But if you're a jock and you're that good, even your living expense. That poor kid from the ghetto, he's a good jock. And I'm not criticizing getting out of your situation through sports.
No,
not at all.
No, the idea is
but how many kids and jocks adults are throwaways too?
Well, the idea is that we live in a society that is the Hunger Games. That unless you are deemed exceptional in some way by the people who make the decisions, you will suffer and struggle for the rest of your life.
And even winning, you're damaged.
Exactly.
Even winning, you're damaged because of everything you had to do to get there. And
is it winning if I can't go home and talk to my friends? Is that a win? Is it, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about?
Is it winning when you took a knee? when you took a knee and now you can no longer play.
Right.
Period.
Is that a win?
Was that,
Is that a win?
that's what I'm saying is what you have to compromise in your life to stay in the game, to stay in the game, whether it be acting, we'll do a few crumbs to folks who can act from the communities, and we'll keep you fighting over that too. Okay.
Fighting over those sports scholarships,
Okay, fighting over the sports scholarships, fighting over the who can sing better, right? Because I'm not willing to let every black person who can sing, every brown person, every Asian person. No. We'll give you a few. We'll give you a few. Make the end. How many scars at the end do they have to live with themselves?
An enormous.
Look at the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games talks about that. That those kids won the Hunger Games and they won their brand new, beautiful house. But they still got to look at everybody else starving to death in their communities, fighting for crumbs. And liberation doesn't come without struggle.
Oh my God.
Okay? And yes, this is nitty gritty. Okay, you weren't here to document, the real show, the reality show of the march. Us cursing each other out, us, fighting petty crap. But the thing is, we're human beings.
Exactly.
And liberation doesn't come without the struggle.
It does not.
And the thing is that we need to stop being distracted. That's our biggest thing is this ADHD. Everything around us distracts us to the goal. And the goal is dismantling that oppressive system.
Yep. So
we also
today, Felicia, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say we also treat the wrong things as distraction. We think that the conflicts that come up in our organizing are distractions. We want to write that off as just like people being too emotional, people being too into it, people being too whatever. But it's just like, no. That point where you see someone emotional, when you see someone in it, when you see someone struggling for real, every day struggling for liberation, that is the truth. That is our realest selves. And when we figure out how to work through, okay, you're struggling through liberation in this way, you struggling through liberation in this way, you struggling through liberation in this way, when we figure out how to talk to each other, that's when we really become liberated, which is why we don't know how to do that, which is why we write off these conflicts as things that we have to avoid. Because if we were actually to work through those conflicts, if white poor folks were actually to talk to poor black folks and actually start fucking organizing some shit, if we were actually to name our oppressors and be like, yo, we know your names, we know your addresses, we know y'all the Chamber of Commerce, we know y'all live in DC, and we coming for you, that's the revolution.
And that's what makes P-Perk very different from his initiation. Okay, what used to be Kensington Welfare Rights Union that evolved into the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign. One of the things you have to understand about the neighborhood of Kensington, okay, we're in the north, but we are one of the most segregated neighborhoods. You've got East Kensington, all poor whites, get to Kensington Avenue, poor Asians, Southeast Asians, then you get to we're still East Kensington, but the beginning of West Kensington is all Hispanics, whether it be Dominicans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, mainly Islanders, tradition, but now more Central, South, and Mexico coming in. And then you have the far West Kensington, which is poor blacks. Okay, not the bougie blacks, not the blacks who got jobs, the ones who had no jobs. Okay, heck, blacks in other neighborhoods call them hillbilly blacks. Because they're the poorest of the poor of the black community. Because you remember that Pennsylvania, a lot of the freed slaves with education settled there. So you do have very affluent black folks in Pennsylvania.
Up in the Quaker
they will call them the Kensington blacks. Those are the hillbilly blacks. Okay? And the thing is this, is because we live in a neighborhood that has so much diversity, how can we not include the poor whites? How can we not include the poor blacks, the poor Latinos? And yes, you were saying working through. A lot of times, you work together to go get that food. She has a truck. You're the one in need, and we put them together across color lines, across gender lines, which is not easy. And that's why we look the way we look in P-Perk. And we never have $1.95 because we work with the poorest of the poor. Okay. And we are the poorest of the poor in the leadership of our organization. Okay, blacks had to lead themselves out of slavery. Women had to liberate themselves. Okay, how can you not think poor people shouldn't be at the forefront of dismantling a system that is oppressing all poor people across color lines. We have to be inclusive, and she's right. We have to know, out of not having a choice, we have to work with each other. I don't gotta like you.
No,
but I gotta work.
I just gotta like your liberation. I don't gotta like you at all. I just gotta like your freedom. I gotta like your laughter.
For wanting to want us all to do.
That's also a misconception within the activist community. So we gotta like each other for some reason or some shit. It's like, I don't gotta like you to believe that your life matters, to believe that you are worthy of housing, you are worthy of food, you are worthy of clothing, you are worthy of happiness. I don't gotta like you for that.
Right.
Why would I have to like you for that?
See, we have to. What you do have to do is be able to see everyone as human beings.
Exactly.
And as worthy.
And with faults. And with faults.
And as worthy of those things.
Yes.
Simply because they are human beings.
Simply because they exist.
And Alicia, Tina,
I don't know if you can put this on your show without my telephone.
I'm gonna have to do it after we finish. But this has been like the best lunch hour that I have had in a long time. Luqman Nation, listen, we tell you all the time. I'm gonna turn the camera around real quick. Come on. There we go.
On the mic?
Yes, take the mic. I'm gonna turn the camera around really quick because I'm gonna wrap this up because I do have to go home because I actually have documents I have to. I have work I have to do. that is the other. That is the other part of this whole struggle. I'm trying to get the fountain behind you. There we go, behind me, so you can see this. This is in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., y'all. This is what we do with the little bit of time and the little bit of resources we have in regard to issues that we know are important, not just to us. Because, I mean, for me, I'm a technical writer. My husband drives trucks professionally. We do okay. But there are people who live a block away from us who are struggling in ways that I don't know. I remember my mom struggling to put food on the table. She would eat toast and coffee on days when the only food left in the house was in front of me. So I'm not that far from the struggle in my own life, and I'm physically not that far from the struggle right now with people that I'm fighting for living a block away from me. In my hometown, in my husband's hometown of Camden. And it's symbolic, I think, being here in DuPont Circle. If you know anything about Washington, D.C., you would know that DuPont Circle is as it exists today, DuPont Circle is actually the result of a massive gentrification effort. Because DuPont Circle used to be where all the hippies and the punks used to live. I used to live here many, many years ago, 16th and R Street, in an inexpensive apartment that today I couldn't afford. And because of gentrification, there are more homeless people in DuPont Circle than has ever existed. There are more homeless people in this city than has ever existed. Because of gentrification in this city, working class people, blue collar people can't afford to live in DuPont Circle. The people who are here fighting for poor people's economic human rights can't afford to live anywhere near this park where they're holding this demonstration throughout this day. And that's why we are out here. Because that shouldn't be true in this country. That people can't afford a place, a safe place, a warm and a comfortable place to lay their head and to have food and to live in decency. You shouldn't have a certain level job to be able to do that in the richest country in the world. And the only way we are going to change that is if we support each other in fighting to dismantle the system that makes it this way. So, thanks for joining me today, y'all. This is Jackie Luqman of Luqman Nation coming to you from DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. with the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign. Follow us on Facebook. Share this video from YouTube, subscribe to us, and check out our Felicia's video. Check out all of our stuff on YouTube. YouTube and Facebook. We love y'all so much. As always, peace and have a good day. Be real good to each other, y'all.
Right?
I don't know. Let's see. Can it? Oh, wait.
Try to erase our own history. Thousands of books telling tales of how they came and saved us. Welcomed them with open arms, they chained them, slaved us. Fast forward, now they want you to think you're free, so you stop fighting while they incarcerating all our kids.
I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. I took back my dignity. I took back my humanity. Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me.